Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another bite-sized podcast. And thank you very much for supporting my channel. Okay, well, this is an interesting one because, we hear how important it is that we bring diversity into policing. It's been a central mantra now for many years. British policing, the main priority isn't really about, dealing with criminals. It's about dealing with diversity. And that's why, for example, whenever there were protests regarding lockdown last year, the media splashed this lady's image all over it. Now, she was unnamed, but she was seen as the brave, new, exciting, hijab-wearing face of British policing as she stood firmly against the anti-lockdown bigots, the people who objected to having their freedom taken away. I mean, how dare they? Now, at the time, we didn't know who this lady was, but now we do know, because the Mail on Sunday has revealed that her name is Ruby Begum. Begum, that name again seems to remind me of someone else. But she joined the Met in 2016, and she was very much hailed as a role model for, as the media call it, bravely confronting these anti-lockdown bigot protesters, scum. However, and I'm sure, look, there's no doubt in my mind, I'm absolutely confident that she would have been vetted 100% very carefully by Scotland Yard to make sure that she was the sort of person that you want to have in frontline policing. Yes? Looks like that's not been quite the case. It transpires that there's been some rather difficult tweets discovered. I'm going to put a couple of them up on screen now. You can see this is apparently from her Twitter account. So you can see she's talking about Israel have no limits, scumbags. I can't wait for the day they get severely punished. July 30th, 2014. And then talking another wonderful tweet from her, Kufr lips have been all over my mug there. There's no way I'm going to use that thing again. And then finally, and funny enough, on September 11th, she says, must be stupid if you think I'm going to do 2 minutes silence for 9/11. Oh my, Ruby, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? So she uses the offensive term kufr to describe non-believers, and then she describes Pakistanis as, I'm not going to use the word that she used to describe Pakistanis, even though curiously she comes from a half-back Pakistani background. She apparently also communicated, get this, she communicated over many months with a woman thought to have fled Europe to live under the Islamic State so-called caliphate. That particular woman would acquire notoriety for appearing to defend male terrorist use of minority Yazidis as sex slaves. So without offering explanation, Miss Begum writes around this time that her own passport was confiscated for a month. Wonder why that might be. So anyway, Miss Begum, she works in the Metropolitan Police's task force. I'm sure that'll give you so much confidence. Has been proven to be running a Twitter account under the name Ruby B since 2012. It's very active, actually, more than 25,000 messages. So when you comb through these, there are some vile anti-Semitic comments that she was making. As during the Israeli conflict with the terrorist group Hamas, and she wrote, "Dirty Zionist, hell is waiting." And in another tweet, she wrote, as the one I've read, "Zionists have no hearts; they'll get what's coming to them." So, okay, is this the sort of person that we need in the Metropolitan Police? Is this the sort of person that that we want to be ensuring that justice, the rule of law, is upheld? Of course, she was born in Wapping, so she's a London gal, one of 6 sisters and 3 brothers. Gosh, family of 9. Just imagine my surprise at that. But despite her father arrived in the UK from Bangladesh, formerly, of course, East Pakistan. But she doesn't like Pakistanis, actually. She says some terrible things about them. And she, on September 11th, 2019, only a couple of years ago, as the world marked an 18th anniversary of 9/11, she tweeted, "Oh my God, it's 9/11 today. Jokes, I only noticed." So, right, so she thinks 9/11 was a bit of a laugh. She hates Israel. She doesn't like Pakistanis, and she doesn't like people who aren't Muslim. And she was seen as the brave new face of British policing just last year, until her Twitter records have emerged. Now, let's be clear in this one here. If you choose to take a front-facing role in the United Kingdom, as she has, then it's only appropriate that you are checked out to make sure that you're the sort of person that we need to have in the front line. I'm not sure that our Ruby is that sort of a person. Of course, the media hailed her last year, and now a year later, the media are demonizing her. And that's something to do with the media as much as it's to do with her. But I have to say, quite honestly, if the Metropolitan Police can't be bothered to check through the social history of someone who they're going to put in the front line, then that raises big questions for me, not just about Ruby Begum, but about the Metropolitan Police.